Hi, I'm Lisa Capalla. Welcome to Where's Wilmington here on WCTV. I have quite a panel of guests with me today. We are going to be talking about the Wilmington Community Fund, how you can get involved. So let me introduce my fine guests. We have Joan Cephas. Nice to have you here. Denise Ryan. Oh, let me get up and say hello to you, Bob De Palma. Nice to have you.
Pleasure.
So first of all, let's start with you, Joan. And can you tell us a little bit about the Wilmington Community Fund and what it is and what really your mission is?
Well, Community Fund was started in 1945 by a group of volunteers, and our motto was then and still is to this day, people helping people. And what we do is we help families in need, whether it be through fuel assistance, utility. We also established, and I'll let Bob talk about that, our Wilmington Food Pantry, which actually a lot of people think it's two separate entities, and it's not. It was started by directors of Community Fund. And I forget what year you were.
It was in 1991. Jim and I were helping deliver Thanksgiving baskets. Jim Hatchie, who has since passed away. But Jim Hatchie at that time was the president of the Community Fund. I was the vice president of the Community Fund. So we were helping needy families, but we didn't think we were really helping the right people at that time. And we talked about it. We were pretty disturbed that the people that really needed it we weren't reaching out to. And the other part of that was a concern to us was that after Thanksgiving, people are still hungry.
Right.
Okay. Now, at that time, food pantries were just starting to become popular in the area. And so I talked to Jim about the possibility of us starting something like that. And him and I went and visited a few other pantries in the area to see how they operated, talk with the directors, you know, how does this work? How do you make it work? And how do you find the people? How do you find the food? How do you do that? How does all that? Figuring there's no sense in us reinventing the wheel. People are out there doing a good job on this. Let's copy their ideas. And that's what we did. We went around, visited, we came up with our own plan on how we could make it work in Wilmington. And then we had to go around and find a location, which we did at that time at the Swain School.
Right.
And it was the room that we had was the whole building. I think at that time was just used for storage.
Right.
And so the school department, you know, let us have a room, cleaned it out for us, and then we reached out to the community. The newspaper was a tremendous help. They had weekly stories. Fred Nielsen at that time was the editor, and he just gave us all the support we needed. We got tons of volunteers, and at the first meeting of all the volunteers, I had everybody bring food, and that's how we started the shelves, and then it just took off from there. And now we opened the doors on January 11th, 1992, and we're thinking 2 years tops will be done. And we're still we're still going.
Wow. Now, where are you located now? Because we've left the Swain School, you've left the Swain School. Where is the food pantry located now?
142 Chestnut Street at the Old South School.
Okay.
Which works out great for us. It seems to still be a good location for the community, even though it's in one part of town. People don't seem to have any trouble getting to us. But a lot of people think that we're an independent organization, and we're not. We are part of the Community Fund. We're a division of that. I'm on the board of directors of the Community Fund, and we're all one big group.
Okay. Thus the need for you to come on the show today, not just to talk about the Community Fund, but to talk about making some money to keep all your programs going. What kind of programs do you do with the money that you raise? You do the food pantry. What else?
We gave the fire department a Jaws of Life a few years back. We gave the citizens carbon monoxide detectors one year. It's basically an ongoing as things may occur with families.
Right.
You may have a special occurrence where a family temporarily might need some help for medical assistance.
So when you collect your funds, your board then determines what projects you're going to support for the year?
We're like just a local United Way. We'll reach out to the community where they need us. And you know, we are completely independent of any other organization, any other source of funding. We raise our own money to help out the people in Wilmington however they need it.
Right.
And you know, that can be helping in an emergency situation. Sometimes it's all, you know, we just like sticking a finger in the dike. You know, we can't solve the problem, but we can temporarily help out. And so that's, you know, that's sort of, you know, what we try to do, be there in emergencies. We also have a scholarship program that we give out 4 scholarships a year.
Wow.
You know, so we try to meet the needs as we see them.
And so you have to look at the climate and see what's necessary. I suppose what you were doing in the 90s is very different than what you're doing today. Mm-hmm. And I know, Bob, you were on my show many years ago, and at that time we were talking about the need being greater. I'm sure the need is even greater now than it was back those few years ago, which is why you're here. And Denise is waiting to tell us why she's here too. So you folks are having a big event. Let's talk about that.
Well, we're having a benefit auction September 20th, and it's going to be at Ryan Auction Company at 1 o'clock. And I can have Denise speak a little bit about the viewing and how that's run.
Okay. We actually have some footage that we're going to show the folks too about what goes on at an auction, so you can see that. So what are you looking for from the community? Obviously you want them to come to the auction, but are you looking for donations of goods?
We are
as
looking
well?
for donations, and they are tax deductible. We have actually received some donations from some businesses already by way of gift cards, and I Am Wireless just donated a Bluetooth headset, and I'm really not quite sure how they work, but I know it goes in the ear, but I'm not up on these things. But anything that is usable, if people could check their attics, their basement, their garages, tools. I've heard some people talk about we might be getting some tickets for some sporting events, which we can auction off.
Will you take services as well if a hairdresser wants to donate a perm, or if someone in the community has a business and wants to donate stationery, let's say something like that?
Definitely.
That's okay as well?
Yes, anything that's usable.
Okay. Denise of Ryan Auctioneer Company, right? Ryan Auction Company.
Yes.
What are the top selling items? What usually goes?
Well, top selling items are sterling and diamonds and gold. So,
all right. So if you have any of that, bring it on down.
Yeah, and I bet you we would take those for the community fund. Household items, collectibles, cookie jars, antiques, vintage clothing. There are a lot of things that people collect that people have saved over the years, and a lot of that is stuff that people like to come to the auction to buy, and we like to sell that kind of thing.
Okay.
An auction is really fun. The public is welcome to come to any auction that we have, not just the one for the community fund, and they can also go online to see what we have available for each and every auction, as well as the one for the community.
We'll put your website up so people can do that.
Yep.
Just take a look and see. Tell me a little bit about how you determine what things are going to go for price-wise. Do the people that bring the items decide how much it's going to go for? How does that work?
Well, there's a lot of research that goes into the value of individual items. Number one, we depend on a lot of books. We depend on other auctions and what things have gone recently. A lot of it we know just from conducting auctions what things sell for. So we do know that, a lot of it right off the bat. Some of it we get influenced by the people that are at the auction. I mean, if we have 2 individual people that want an item, you never know what a person might pay for that item. So that's where it becomes interesting. You could have something that may only be worth $50, but this person wants it so bad that they're willing to pay $100 for it.
Right.
So that's where it becomes fun and interesting. And the people at the auction really determine the price.
So from what I gather from what you're saying, you start at a set price based on research of what the market will bear, or what's fair market value based on the condition.
That's right.
And then it can go, the sky's the limit.
Sky's
from
the
there,
limit.
right?
Sky's the limit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
And it can really be fun, and you can learn a lot from an auction, and it can be addicting. once you go to one auction and you enjoy it, and Joan came to one of my auctions and she keeps coming.
Excellent.
And it's a good night out.
Excellent. Well, we're going to look at some footage of what you do and what your corporation does. And there's a gentleman doing the auctioning in this film that we have. Is that someone on your staff?
Yeah, he has worked with me. I worked with him in the past at his auction company. He works with me on occasion at my auction company. And we tend to help, auctioneers tend to help each other out a little bit when we need each other.
And how long have you been in the business of auctioneering?
I've been an auctioneer for about 6 years now.
Wow.
And I started here in Wilmington a little over a year and a half.
Okay, and we do want to make note that you are not a Wilmington resident. We're glad you're involved.
Yeah.
But you're not part of the community fund either, so you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, and it's really nice to see that. So we thank you for that. What do you say we take a look at that footage, and we'll show you a little bit behind the scenes of what goes on in an auction, give you a little taste, and then we'll talk about some behind the scenes stuff so you can figure out how you get your bids in and all those tips on how you can get those paddles raised. That's the right term?
Paddles, bid cards, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let's take a look at that footage, and we'll be right back with more of Where's Wilmington right after this.
Lily, when you get the chance, can I talk to you for a second?
Do I speed that? I always ask you, giving me those things in the wrong order.
Thank you. Denise, who's the head runner determining when things are what are you? Kevin. Excuse me. If anybody wants to buy one, please go up there and they'll take care of you there. Thank you.
27 to, that will be for that ring, that lot, and then that 27 for
150, 175, 175 a bid now to 175 for the P&L, so all done at 175. Want anybody else? So 175 to buy it, 194, 175 to buy 37, pier of bronze gable there. All right, we'll open the pier, that's up to 200 now, 225 for the pier. The bid 200 now, 225, solid bronze, all done at $200, 225 anybody else? Last call, so $200. All done at 35, 45 everybody else. Sold 35, sure to buy at 206, $35 buy at 206. 69, Queen Anne Tiger Maple Chest Stand Cobb. $10 on under. 10 a bid, 15, $20, 25, $30. 30 a bid, now 35. 30 in the back, now 35. All done at 30, 35. Sold $50 again to 194. $50 buy at 194. We had 25, 50, 75, 100, 140, 150, 175. I bid 350 in the P&L, 375. All done at 350, 375 in time, 400. Bid 375 for the P&L 4. All done at 375 more. Sold 375 to buy at 241.
This is Ted.
Hey, Pete.
This is his wife, Ann. Ted just turned 50. He now has a much higher risk of getting colon cancer. Ann wants him to visit his doctor to get checked, like she did. She won't get off Ted's back until he does.
very nice people. We want to make
You
sure
go,
that we
Ann.
have that 30%.
If you're 50 or older, talk to your doctor about getting tested for colon cancer. For a free information kit, call 800-ACS-2345. This is the American Cancer Society.
Hello, I'm Kiara Marcoggio from Girl Scout Troop 799, and you're watching WCTV Wilmington Community Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Where's Wilmington? We were just taking a look at some really cool stuff. That auctioneering stuff is crazy. How does he talk so fast like that? That is amazing. And all the goods you have, that is incredible. I didn't realize that you would have so many things to look at. It runs the gambit. You've got dishes, you've got jewelry, you've got paintings. Who are all the kids that help out too?
Most of them are family.
Wow.
We have my mother, my father, my sons, my daughter. It's really a family-run business, and we sell probably between 400 and 600 items a night.
Wow. That is pretty good. Now, as far as how we can look at or view these items prior to the auction, you want to give us some information about that, and then we'll talk to you, Joan, about where exactly the auction house is located so we can get to it.
Usually, any individual auction that we have at least a 2-hour preview ahead of the auction so that you can look at the items, you can see what you might want to bid on, and get an idea in your own mind what you might want to spend on that item. And that's always good to really know where you should stop and where, you know, you've gone overboard.
Limitations
yes.
are. So we can look on the web before we even get to the auction?
Yes, you can.
But then we can actually physically see the items when we get there?
Yes, you can see them, you can pick them up, you can really examine them, make sure that there's nothing wrong with them, because we sell all kinds of things, and sometimes there are things that have a little damage, but it's up to you, the buyer, to look them over and make sure that it's in good condition.
And sometimes are the sellers there to ask questions?
The seller, not normally. They usually they may be there, but they usually stay in the background, because a lot of times people don't want to be bothered by
well, it can be emotional
a lot
too,
of that. Yes.
I'm sure. You know, sometimes you're parting with something, or also on the same end, you may feel something has more value, and the people may be saying things about your item.
Yes.
So I suppose that would be part of it.
It is hard for a lot of people to be there. But they can ask the auctioneer or any one of the runners any questions that they may have about the item, and we try to answer them as best as we possibly can.
Now, you actually do the auctioning also, like that gentleman was doing?
Yes,
How do you learn to be all over the room like that? It must be really challenging.
It is.
And I would imagine a little stressful sometimes too.
It is, but we kind of stay focused. We know that's why we have the yellow bid cards.
Right.
We look for that yellow card. So we don't like when people fan themselves with them.
Okay.
We don't take bids by people scratching their heads or their nose.
I was going to ask you about that, because you know you always see the sitcoms where somebody scratches their nose and they own a Picasso.
Yes,
you know?
yes. No.
Joan, tell me where the auction house is located so we can make sure folks can get there.
It's right on Middlesex Ave. It's directly behind the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
So not too far from where we are.
No, you can walk.
Excellent, I'll do that.
It's right next door to Planet Fitness if anyone goes there to work out. So it's very
And the hours of the event are going to be?
Well, the auction itself will start at 1, so that means we'll be allowing viewing, what, 11?
Yeah, 11 o'clock will be view time.
Okay, so we get there nice and early is a good idea.
Yes.
Let's give some tips about, you know, what kinds of things should I be aware of? Should I bring a checkbook? Do I need to bring credit cards? Do you only take cash? How does that work?
Well, we do MasterCard and Visa, check, good check, and cash.
Okay, so take me through the process. Let's say I go and I look at a cookie jar and I've got to have it, and it's going for $100, and I know my limit is $200. What's the process after that? I'm sitting in the audience. What happens after that?
Well, if it's up to 100 and you want to bid, you just raise your card to bid.
Okay, so I have to wait until the number. Does each item have a number? Like, how will I know when my thing is coming?
We give a little brief description. We'll say if it's a Happy Face McCoy cookie jar.
Okay.
And we'll describe that cookie jar. We also have a number on that so that you'll listen for those numbers, and we try to be as clear as possible to let people know.
Okay, because with my luck, I could be out getting a hot dog and I would miss the whole opportunity.
You're not supposed to use the ladies' room or do anything like that.
Or have
during
somebody
an auction,
there in proxy in case. Okay.
But you can always tell, because the runners are waiting to bring up the next item, so you can usually tell if you have 5 or 6 items and so you can run and do something and come right back. But you do have to pay attention to know when your item is coming up and to see that item. Before the auction starts, there'll be somebody that'll register you. You need identification to be registered. A driver's license is good. If you have a tax ID number for resale purposes, you'll have to fill out a form, and that way you won't be charged a sales tax. And once you fill that out, they will give you a bid card, and you can bid. At the end of the auction, or whenever you're ready to leave, you can leave at any point during the auction, and you'll just go up to the cashier, give her your bid card, and she'll check you out. She'll give you a receipt for your purchases.
So she'll say, okay, you won that cookie jar, give me all your money.
Yes, basically.
No, so then you will settle up. And now, what if I purchase something big, like a car or a boat? I have to take it away that day? So
no, you don't. We can arrange for delivery of those items for you, or you can come back and pick those items up.
Excellent.
You don't have to take it then.
Okay. I wanted to ask each of you, if you wouldn't mind, why are you involved with the Wilmington Community Fund? Joan, why do you really do what you do? We're all busy people. Why do you take time out of your life to do this?
Because I like to give back to the community, and especially to help people that need the help.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yes, it's very rewarding.
And what about you, Bob? You've been involved with the food pantry. That's near and dear to your heart, but also as a board of directors member on this organization for a really long time.
Yeah, I'm sorry you asked that question, because now you're making me think.
Okay, well, we can come back to you.
I actually came on the board, it has to be 30 years ago, of the Community Fund, when I went to their meeting one night to ask for money for the MS Society. And they called me that night and said, we'll give you the money on the condition that you come on our board.
Wow, so you really got roped in.
So I really
made a
did.
good impression.
Yeah, I really did. But it's a worthwhile organization if you're into reaching out and, and helping out other people. Everybody needs some help at certain times, and myself included. And if I can do a little bit to make somebody's life a little better, that makes me feel good. And then the food pantry ended up, starting with something small and just, mushrooming to something, much larger. But when you're there at night and the people are coming in and you see what a difference you're making in their life, this isn't theory. This is actually, I'm not going to get as dramatic as to say life and death, but we're certainly affecting the quality of their life. And I've got a solid group of volunteers who are there with me all the time. We put a lot of hours in. Nobody gets any pay. Joan does this for nothing. I do it for nothing. It's all volunteer. But you're making a difference in somebody's life, and that's.
Have you seen anyone that you helped in the past come forward and donate or volunteer when their lives get a little better? Have you seen that happen?
I had a man one time come to my house, knock on my door, and hand me a $100 bill. And said, you helped me out when I needed it, and I wanted to thank you and give this to, put this to where you think it should go, into the food pantry. So yeah, I have had. One of my volunteers that helped me for years was somebody that we had helped when they needed it. And so we get that, we get that a lot.
Excellent. And Denise, what made you give up your time? You're not a Wilmington resident. Certainly that doesn't change your humanitarian interest, but it's even more, I would think, special to me to know that you're willing to help this community when you're not even a resident here. What made you really decide to give to this charity? There's so many other organizations, I'm sure, that ask you for help throughout the course of your business. What made you decide to pick this one to help?
Well, Wilmington has welcomed us with open arms. I had tried to open my auction company in several different towns, including my hometown, and was unable to do that. Wilmington just allowed me in, and I felt that I should help them out in return.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Anything you'd like our viewers to know? What do you need from them? What would you like from us? How much money do you want to raise?
We have no goal.
How much do you need to make the year work?
As much as we can get.
Okay.
Well, some of our big expenses are, the food.
Right.
But outside of the food pantry, we help people with oil. with electricity, you know, that type of stuff. So, you know, how much would we need for oil? That's so open-ended.
Right, right.
You know, so that we usually, you know, if we could work on a budget of $25,000, that would be, you know, that would be quite good.
Okay.
Do we expect to make that on the auction? No, no.
It could happen.
No, it could happen, absolutely.
Someone could bring in a
But
Mercedes,
this is the
you know,
first
and that
year,
would do
yeah.
it.
This is the
This
first
is
year
our
we've
first
done
year.
it. You know, it's a learning process for us,
Right.
and you know, hopefully that it'll be successful. We'll do it next year, and we'll be better at it.
Right.
We'll know how to reach out into the community, and the community will know how they can help us, and you know, where the money and the items that they donate, you know, where it's going, how it's being used. And so we're hoping that this will also be an education process, as well as a, you know, financially successful
there's lots
program.
of different kinds of fundraisers you can do. You know, you can do bean suppers, you can do dances. This is just another take on that, something a little different, a little unique. And you've got the auction house right here in town, so why not take advantage of that? It seems like a no-brainer to me. Joan, anything you'd like folks to know before we close today?
Well, we're a very small board, so our resources amongst ourselves are limited too. We're not a large organization.
Okay.
I would just like to encourage the community to come out, not only by way of donating something that's not like money out of your pocket. It's a useless but non-use.
It's the old one man's trash
is another man's treasure
thing.
right. And it's important that you come down and bid. Just think of it as early Christmas shopping, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You won't, I mean, you'd be amazed at some of the bargains you can find.
Really?
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, you might want some particular item and you luck out, no one else wants it. Boy,
Yeah.
you
It
get
could
a
happen.
deal.
Yeah.
It
I could be off at the
happen.
bathroom while you could get
That's
my cookie
right.
jar.
Yes,
And
that's
what
right.
about you,
That's
Denise?
right.
What would you like the folks to know?
Well, I just, like Joan had said earlier, look in your basement, look in your attic, look at the things that you don't need and don't use. And those are the things, they need to be good workable items.
Right.
And if we had talked earlier about a car. If you have a car that you were thinking about maybe donating, it does have to run though.
Right.
It's a great item to donate to the community fund and we can auction that off. But other things, like I said, vintage clothing that people haven't thought about, oh geez, I have something that I saved from my graduation or something like that's been sitting in the attic for all these years. Whether it's paper goods, china, furniture, anything like that. There's another home for that item.
Excellent. And Bob, what would you like our viewers to know?
Well, I think my family would agree that all my clothes are vintage clothes, and so I'd probably give them all to you. You know, you asked how much, you know, we'd like to raise on this. Yes. Well, you know, the way we would operate would be whatever we would come in, if more money came in than we expected, we would then expand programs or start a creative thinking process on how else can we reach out to the community. So it's not like, you know, oh, we made extra money, we're just going to put it aside in a cookie jar that we bought from you and save it.
Right.
You know, we would then be looking into what else can we do. Now we have money to go beyond basic needs of oil, electricity, you know, that type of thing. So
Right. And whatever the community needs, you'll be able to provide for.
we would then, you know, reach out as far as we can reach.
Well, thank you so much, Joan, Denise, and Bob, for being with us today. Thank you for what you're doing in the community. I know it means a lot to people.
Well, Lisa,
and I will
thank you
just
for having
tell you,
us.
I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure everyone else does too.
you.
So September 20th,
Right.
1 o'clock. But prior to that, you want to get your items in good condition, and do we need to bring them down beforehand, or can we just bring them down that day?
They can bring them down to Ryan Auction House. Denise will accept it any Monday between 4 and 7 p.m.
Okay.
Or depending on the size, they could also mail it to our P.O. Box 147.
P.O. Box 147, Wilmington,
in
Mass,
Wilmington, right?
Okay.
If it's like
and
a
we're going to
gift
have
card
all
or
your
something.
information up on the screen so folks can get more information.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
I
you,
hope your
Lisa.
event is a success. I'll
Thank
try to
you.
come down and get some
Come and
jewelry,
bid on that
maybe.
cookie
That'll
jar.
be really good. And put some cookies in it too,
Yes.
right? Just reminding you that you're watching Where's Wilmington here on WCTV. This is our first big studio production we've done in here. We've been in the smaller studio before, so it's really nice to have you in our nice big studio. Just reminding you that the next time somebody asks you, where's Wilmington, You tell them right here and right here on WCTV. Thanks for watching.